When you have the right systems and community, success is unavoidable. Okay, so let's just say to start this off, you wave my magic wand, Michael. What is it that you want the business to turn into? What's the end goal? What are we actually going to make?
Yeah, if we were averaging 10 new front-end enrollments a month as like a minimum average, and that brought us to more the baseline, like 300K a month mark by the end of the year, while still maintaining the healthy profit margins that we do because we don't have such big dollar ad spend,
Yep.
I'd be fired up.
Amazing. Okay. What does 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the track want to look like?
Our commitment is to be the best, greatest. Our big mission is to be the best. More importantly than being the biggest in the sense of measured of like, oh, we did $1 million a month in our business. We care more about having a dozen or more per year online fitness coaches doing $1 million cash collected a year and helping 100 every year breaking six figures. That's what I care most about. Our business, 2, 3 years down the road, like the internal part for us, I'd be working 2, 3 days a week.
Yep.
The business would be profiting 100K a month and
Yep.
running completely through our leadership team.
Great. If we looked at your org chart today, what would be missing or things that you would not love about it right now?
We don't have a clear, strong marketing lead. We did back in 2021 when we were having our peak years. He transitioned. I took over marketing, which was probably the right decision at that time and probably still now. But now that I'm ready to be back in a growth season, that's one of the missing things because I'm taking CEO on and all marketing CMO things, and it's not my strength. So it'd be different if it was my strength, like some of the other guys out there, but it's not. I'm better off like VP of delivery and CEO because I thrive in the coaching and delivery side.
I'm totally picking that up. Okay, so let's double your business this year, and then making sure that the client results is the best in the industry. And I love the 12 or more breaking 7 figures and 100 or more breaking 6 figures.
Yeah.
When it comes to how you are acquiring, you said you're acquiring 3 to 5 new enrollments per month at the moment. How are those 3 to 5 people coming on board at the moment? What's that process look like?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook group that from when I acquired Sterling's business, we have his Facebook group still that has about 8,800 people in it.
Yep.
So we'll do weekly free live trainings in there. And then I'll predominantly drive organic content on my main Facebook and my main Instagram, either driving just to DMs through some sort of 2-step or resource or campaign that we're running, or we're driving them to the free Facebook group for our next like free live training or a resource we're hosting there or something like that. And then we will run once every 6 weeks or so, we'll run some sort of conversion campaign organically. Those are the months normally where we'll see a spike from the 3 to 5 average, and we'll bring on 6 to 12.
When you say conversion campaign, do you mean like some sort of workshop challenge, something along those lines?
Sometimes it's driving to like a low ticket challenge, but we'll do like a scholarship campaign to our high ticket. We'll do prices are going up in 2 weeks, so get in now. 4 spots left to work directly with me as your coach, stuff like that.
Okay, great. So it's some sort of scarcity, urgency, or some added value for them to be able to come through the process.
Yeah.
Is it calls that are closing people into the program, or is it just through the DMs?
DM chat to 2 call close.
Okay, 2 call close.
Yeah.
Yep, fantastic. How do you know your lead to conversion ratio? So let's say how many applications to a call to close? Do you know what that ratio is right now?
I could get the exact stat, but I can tell you that it's probably forever. So when you say application, like scheduling for a triage call, scheduling for
Correct.
a 10-minute call.
Yeah, correct.
It's probably close to 4.5, 4 to 5 to 1.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we have pretty high conversion because we're only dealing with warm organic leads. If
Yes.
someone schedules a call, five will, schedule a triage, four will move to an application call, three will show, and we'll close on one or two. So
Brilliant.
yeah.
And would I be right to assume that, like, let's say they join the Facebook group, the conversion system behind the Facebook group is let's engage with them, let's tag them in some posts, let's get them actually working and consuming some of the content that then drives them to the DM?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, cool. All right,
Yep.
bread and butter. We can do this. What do you think's missing and broken right now? Like, if you wave my magic wand, essentially, what's the thing that we fix right now that you like? That's the constraint of the business. Like, we know it's leads that's like the constraint, but what do you think is the thing that you want to have happen so that leads are flooding through the door?
So a lead generation system that doesn't feel complex and feels aligned, at least currently, with like, I'm always willing to step outside of my own comfort zone and be coachable. But like I said, because it doesn't always feel like marketing is my zone of joy,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it takes, like I have to block a whole day off to just do like record a VSL versus like
yeah.
coaching. I could run calls all day. So to answer your question more clearly, a lead gen system that feels energetically aligned with me,
Yeah.
um, that then increases conversations and audience growth aligned with our already existing sales pipeline. Like I don't, in
Perfect.
other words, I don't necessarily want our setters to have to like relearn a whole new process. Like
Yes.
I want to add more coal to what's already working. I want to add more
Yeah, yeah,
fire
yeah.
to, yeah, yeah.
There's no need to really reinvent the wheel. I just want to share something that I've recently created. So this is something I do for each partner. We create like what their acquisition map is. I'll just zoom in a little bit. So let's just say, for example, lead generation. We figure out, we go, all right, Michael, where are we getting leads from? How do we get somebody that doesn't know you to knowing you at the end of the day? Now, obviously, there's like ads, IG, Facebook. It's not choosing all of them. It's only selectively choosing the ones that we want to be able
Sure.
to choose. Now, importantly, the actual lead nurture side of things is let's change the quiz funnel where it's not needed right now. Let's call that the Facebook funnel, for example,
Okay.
right now. So we've got people coming in, and again, we could have like a VSL, and that's why like I said, like a monthly event, something along those lines it's something different and something of greater value to the marketplace where people want to be able to come into the ecosystem that you're creating.
Yep.
What I would do for you is in between these three and email nurture and outbound follow-up, I would have the Facebook group sitting here.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
And then what I would do is these three and email nurture and outbound follow-up are using the Facebook group as one of the means for greater omnipresence to them as well. And so
Okay.
where we want to drive them back to. So where, let's say with some partners, I might drive their prospects to YouTube to further consume content or to the podcast to further consume content. We're actually putting them back into the Facebook group to be, that's the kind of hub for them to be able to use.
Yeah.
And then we obviously want to go, the DMs goes to the call application. And then there's the selling system right now. Now, I don't know if like, let's say, for example, you had a lower tier offer. So let's say it's like $100, $200 a week or something like that, where it's like easier for someone to come through, or a $3,000 program. And then we have like a tip, okay, $2,000 pro. So we go, hey, we've got your
Yeah.
$2,000 program down here. I'm just going to call that your hero program just for shits and giggles right now.
And a
And
129, 21-day program if they really need to be nurtured first.
perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So we would just add that complexity and complexity and complication are two very different words. Complexity is a good thing that we want to like matrix into here. And then we've got your selling system, which is the calls to make sure that we maximize and amplify the leads coming into that call process to then selling into that main program. Does that make sense so far?
Yes. 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 And
Okay,
if you can pull that image up, I can slide to the left. Would it make sense for me to point to add a little context to what I feel like we're
absolutely.
missing or is working? So,
Yes.
um, in 2022, we had ads on. It was mainly just like get a resource and join our Facebook group. That
Yep.
was it. Instagram, Facebook, referral strong. And then we're launching a podcast this year. YouTube and
Right.
LinkedIn, we don't currently really touch.
Gotcha.
So if we could just, it might be a matter of turning the right like lead gen audience growth ads on, but all the gray, it feels to me like that's need number one. And
Yeah.
then the blue is definitely like dialing in some of number two. Like we don't really have a strong VSL. We don't have a quiz funnel. We do run a monthly student event that sometimes we
Oh,
allow guests to join in for free, and we
yeah.
will nurture leads that way. Um, and then we currently are bringing on an email marketer. Hopefully they can unlock that. And we don't have outbound follow-up. But everything to the right of blue is where I'm like, once we get gray and blue going stronger, we're pretty strong to the right.
Great. We just need to dial this in then and we're laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. All right. That to me is perfect. Let me bring back my notes. Okay, great. So if we just think about the lead nurture process right now. So somebody comes into the email list or they come into the Facebook group. What is currently happening right now so that they don't forget about us?
So if they get into the Facebook group, we run a weekly Wednesday free live training.
Yep.
Those people are either everyone tagged on the promotion post to that in hopes that they see that. Our setter team is really strong in nurturing and building relationships and following up with people. Our biggest month last year, we had an 18 front end enrollment month. And I would say 70% of them were like, you got to give Danilo a raise because I've been talking to that boy for 9 months, 12 months, 16 months. And I was going to go to this guy or that competitor or that person, but I could tell your team really cared. And he just kept making sure I was getting in on free trainings and resources and stuff like that. So we're pretty strong with that, making sure they're individually being reminded about a free live training, or if I launch a new resource or I put together a new 27-minute training on how we had 6 coaches break $1 million last year as Fit Pro, stuff like that. Like we'll make sure we get to them. That's the majority of how they're remembering about us and my organic content. Email, not really. We're dead there right now. And that's about it.
Okay, great. Am I to assume, sorry, Michael, so far that the live trainings and all that stuff, is that you front stage doing that?
Yeah, I run probably when I'm in town or my schedule allows, I run it. If I'm for whatever reason not available, my head of sales runs it. Or one of my coaches leads it. But so yes, I'm running most of them, but a leader on our team is running probably at 33% of them, maybe 25%.
And just going back to that magic wand analogy, then when it comes to what Michael does and your zone of genius, right? Because you're like, hey, I'm great at like retention delivery CEO, right? So there's so for example, I did this with another partner before. So what we actually did was when people think of like, especially coaching businesses, they're like, there's marketing, then there's sales, then there's like operations, and then there's delivery, and there's kind of like these 4 very different segments. And it's like what we actually did was we broke their business down. If you just think of 2 circles and there's a slight overlap with the circles, right? And you go, the first circle is getting somebody that doesn't know you to buying. The second circle is as soon as they buy to increasing lifetime value and retention and ascension right through there. And there's actually only 2 departments in the business and they still talk and they still like overlap with each other as well, right? What I feel like is if we did that analogy with your business, you've got the right-hand circle covered, right? It's just the left-hand circle that's like the missing piece of the puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah. And one's really big and one's really small.
Right
now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We've got one really big right nut and we've got a really small left nut.
Small.
We need to be able to even those up. Okay, cool.
Yes,
We're
correct.
Good. The setter team, just to confirm, I just want to make sure I cover details. When you say setter, you just mean in DMs, not calling?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, awesome. And why has paid ads been turned off and not used?
We started seeing it. So 2 reasons. A, we saw a diminishing level of return Yeah, we saw diminishing level of return, and I didn't feel like I knew exactly what the next strategy was. I had hired Richard Yu to learn shout outs and a VSL strategy. I was chatting with a handful of people about a bunch of different strategies, and
Yeah.
I think paralysis of analysis stopped me from being crystal clear on which strategy to run next. Cool.
Um, okay, so it's a great point that you bring up, Michael, and I do hear this a lot where it's a case of you use the words paralysis by analysis. I use
Yeah,
the words too many cooks in the kitchen, where
sure.
there's like too many different people saying too many different things. And the truth is they all work, but it's what works for Michael now, for
Yeah,
example. Do you know what I mean? And it's like what are your strengths and weaknesses and what matches the flavor and vibe of your business with your market. And that's
yes,
why there are so many different things that we can be doing, yet actually, really, there's probably only one, two, at tops three that we
at a
really
time.
should be going into
Yeah,
to make sure that we scale this really large. Because
yes.
when I think about the bit, like, look, we've been in the same industry. I would say I'm intrigued as to why you haven't said you want to get to 1 million a month, for example, because I feel like the numbers that you're going to, because when I think of growth of businesses, what I see is it does it in one, threes, and tens. So 1 million a
Sure.
year, 3 million a year, 10 million a year. And you having been at the
Three
three
to
and actually
five.
above the three, exactly right. It's a case of, and you knowing as well, and this is what gives me the confidence in why I'm going to say what I'm going to say right now, because you can handle the operation side of the business.
Yeah,
That's typically, like, I would say probably 90% of the time, that's why a business doesn't do the 3 to 10 jump. It's because
yep,
the operation side.
yeah.
You're a beautiful special snowflake, and there's a little bit, and it's actually the marketing side of the thing that's just the constraint right now.
Yeah,
Which is why I'm probably trying to look through this lens of, okay, cool, like doubling it this year, cool, can do that. But
yeah,
going from this to 1 mil a month, I actually don't think is probably a big of a jump as to what you might believe that might be.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so the answers for us to get to what it is that you need to do. So if you've got 8,800 people in this Facebook group, the engagement is high, which is a good thing. It's working. We simply need to be able to get more people in there. But I also think it's my belief that we need a mechanism that doesn't involve a Facebook group also. Simply because if
And
uh,
not my organic social media pages either.
correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah. So I would start to flesh those things out and have and broaden just a little bit more. And let me use this as an example. So let's just say the conversion mechanism for a business, not your business, but say a fictitious business, is, hey, jump on a strategy call, right? Now, what 99.9% of coaches do, they'll continue to say in all of their call to actions, in all of their media, book a strategy call, book a strategy call, book a strategy call, book it. Okay, for fuck's sake. The problem is if someone says, no, I'm not going to book a strategy call to start off with, typically hammering that same message and that same point isn't going to get them to actually do it. It's probably going to
Sure.
piss them off. They're going to get offer fatigue and they're going to go somewhere else. So
Sure.
that's where I'm saying I probably want to start to experiment and say, all right, like obviously paid ads work, but the thing for me is it feels like it was the offer and the situation at the time that was the thing that couldn't break through from there. And so what I'm also seeing in, especially knowing this market intimately,
Yeah.
is not seeing enough of and not using enough of the social proof and you getting coaches to, like, it is rare for fitness professionals to get to 7 figures,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
It
we
is
know.
rare
Yeah.
for them to do it.
Yeah.
And it is rare to have a highly replicatable, duplicatable, predictable system for them to be going to 6 figures also. So I would be leaning a lot more on that and the positioning. So I would start to work on the positioning of the business and what that differentiator is, because I'm such a geek. I've got this one Chrome extension where it only shows me Facebook ads. Like my feed is only ads, right? So it actually doesn't show me any personal, it just shows me ads. So when I'm doing research in a marketplace, I'll spend a really long time literally just going through ads. And when I do it for the fitness business world, a lot of the time I want to throw up in my mouth because it's all the same shit. It's like the
Yeah.
same stuff that I keep seeing. It's just it's a different dude saying
Yeah.
the same thing. And I'll use this as an example. And like Alex Hormozy, I think he's genuinely an amazing person. Every interaction I have is incredible.
Sure.
That purple book was very interesting because everyone went the guarantee route and said the same guarantees all over the place. And I know you see the same thing I see, Michael.
Sure.
So that's where it's a case of how do you differentiate yourself from the marketplace? And I think you do that. One, you've been in the game longer. Two, you've got a hell of a lot more clout and experience and expertise and the proof in the pudding for what it needs to be.
Yeah.
But it's the messaging that has to do that heavy lifting for you. Do you know what I mean? And so, sorry, you go. Have you subscribed? If not, this is the best time for you to subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. Why? Because it would be a bummer if you missed out on everything that's to come, or don't subscribe if you're not actually getting much value out of this, because there is a zillion other things that you could be doing. So I'd rather you go and do that. The ball's in your court.
Yeah. So two things to just add to that, to like in alignment, where you said messaging, because I lean on the fact that marketing is not my go-to. I think where I have struggled is getting clear on what that unique differentiator message is. What I've seen to work with our perfect fit ideal client, Mike Koenig's.
Yes.
Okay. He helped me create the LTV accelerator, which is one of our methodologies that makes us unique. We sell that offering at 55K, and that's for a coach already doing about 50K a month or more. That's been big for us, but I have struggled to make that sexy in the marketplace, or sexy with front end lead generation, or sexy with ads. The second thing, when I polled all of our students that did 500K or more a year, 500K or more last year, one of the most common things that we noticed as feedback was they said, yes, Mike, we learn marketing from you. Yes, you give us great content campaigns. Yes, we learn high level sales. I spent my first 10 or 15 years of my career leading sales organizations. So I did that. So yes, we learned sales. Yes, we learned how to systems and everything. They said, but one of the reasons we stay with you for years and why I finally broke through is being around you made me a better leader. And we all know that the ship rises and falls with leadership. But I've also struggled to make leadership and LTV the sexy thing to lead with. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But we crush it with teaching that.
Okay, so let me just jam on that for a second, because that's really good. So a part of the marketing message, and it's a little bit of a crude way to say it, but we want to throw stones at the competitors. Right. So you want to, so for example, like Pepsi to be better than Coca-Cola. It's in a great book, The Immutable Laws of Marketing. And so the worst decision Pepsi ever did was try to be like Coca-Cola, right? Where they had to be completely opposite. And so really there's only ever like two spots in the marketplace, right? So if we look at the fitness business coaching marketplace, there's really only ever going to be two real competitors. Third onwards are all losers, right? And so if we were to look, this goes beyond this conversation, but this is what I would like to really dive into with you, is like, what's the actual differentiator from what it is that you're able to bring to the table, and how is that clearly different to what everyone else is trying to do? One of the examples I brought up recently was we see these people making guarantees and saying like these grandiose guarantees in it. Now, what a lot of people don't know, and I'm probably opening up the kimono right now, is what they do is they say, hey, I get you 20 clients a month guaranteed, or you don't pay. Now, when you get onto the sales call, they will say something along the lines of, can you spend $10,000 a month on ads? And you go, oh shit, I didn't have the budget for 10 grand on ads. You go, cool. So you don't qualify for this program, but we'll bait and switch you and sell you into this other program, for example. So that's the difference between their front end marketing to what's going on. So what I would do is I would point out the flaws in what other people are doing. And what you said, I thought was actually really, it's not a sexy message. So we'd have to like glam that up, but they're winning through osmosis with you, right? The analogy you used of the lifting tide lifts all ships is them just being around you actually helped them win at the end of the day. So yes, your systems were really good and they're proven, but there's an element of personal development and self-development that happens by being around other winners. That's how we help win. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally. In other words, the mastermind and myself is one of our unique differentiators. Like
Correct.
just by being in our container, right? One of the things that I believe we take pride in when it comes to fitness coaches is when you get into our container, you're around more nutrition or fitness coaches that are doing 500K to $1 million versus some other communities, their top student might be doing 300K for the year or whatever. I do believe that's one of our differentiators.
Okay, so this is what comes to me straight away. Sorry, I've got my marketing hat on right now. So this
Good,
is
good,
what
yeah.
comes to me. Because you've got, Jameen, a amplitude of 7-figure and good quality 6-figure fit pros already in that community. Like when I think of Mastermind, to me, I think it's more about the people that aren't in there, like who's not in the room compared to who's in the room. Like, for example, I was at a 7 and 8-figure gathering in Laguna just a couple months ago, and it was very clear that it was very much about who's not actually in this room. Right. And so it's actually about what you're doing is you're curating and cultivating a community of winners so that it's almost like winning is inevitable. Right. So like the Buddha said that when enlightenment is unavoidable, when you have emptiness and compassion. Right. And so when you have these two things, you get enlightenment. It's a bold fucking statement to make. What's the bold statement you can make where it's a case of when you have the right systems and community, success is unavoidable, right? I give you this, I give you the systems, and this is the system I give you. This is the LTV accelerator. Sorry, I forgot the name. And this is the mastermind. This is the community of people that you're going to be around. And if we continue with fitness pros, it's very obvious. If I go down to my local gym, for example, right?
Yeah.
I know, for example, there's 2 PTs there that are like, they're driven dudes, right? Like
Sure.
they're good PTs. They're driven. I see that they actually do work. I see other PTs there. They're barely looking at their clients, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's terrible to watch. So these other 2 dudes are getting brought down because of the other people that are around them. And so it's about having that epiphany for someone to go, oh, holy shit. For me to go from, as a fitness professional, to go from 10K a month and I want to be doing 100K a month, and all I actually need is community and systems to be able to do that, so that I'm around the right people. And when I wake up each day, I know the 1-2 things I need to do that are going to bring leads in, turn them into clients and deliver them. And I need a story, a message, a bridge from Michael to show me that you can do me that. That's the crux of it.
And it probably unpacks a bigger conversation for us at some point. But I think one of the things that I have gone back and forth with and lacked clarity or certainty around is if this like higher level room, LTV, we call it the 7-figure leaders blueprint, if that is really where I believe we shine and we specialize, but yet a lot of my marketing is to get to 10K a month. It's like Pepsi trying to be Coca-Cola, right? Like you were saying. And so the thing I've struggled to get clear on is, do I just eliminate all the newbie coaches and go completely all in with 30K to 300K a month coaches? I've struggled with that conversation a few times.
I'm going to answer your question with an example of myself. So yesterday, I specifically shared one example, a message that a partner sent me, right? So this partner cracked $1 million profit in a quarter. So he's doing formula profit a year. And he was like, I'm so happy. And I'm only doing the things I love in the business. To me, like, he's super pumped with it, right? So I very consciously and specifically chose this screenshot to share for a reason, which is I only wanted to attract high-level entrepreneurs, right? So for example, I had two guys come to me that kind of got through the initial qualification process to have a conversation about coming on board. One's at 3.5 million a year, the other's at a bit over 7 million a year, right? Now, if would a coach doing 50 grand a month resonate with what I shared? No, they wouldn't, because it's
$1
not
million
even in their belief
profit.
system. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for someone to go, I'm earning, let's say 300 grand a year, to I'm profiting $4 million a year, is such a big jump in belief systems that they wouldn't even resonate with it. So flip it around on its head. And this is funny because we had this in a recent conversation, was if your marketing message is, hey, I'll get you to your first 10K a month, right? I'll help you add 10,000 a month. Even like those smaller things, the coaches that are doing, do you know what I mean, high six figures, they will breeze past you. Absolutely. So what I think we've probably touched on right now is a part of the differentiator is the market that you deal with. And it's actually not dealing with the newbies. It's actually dealing with the people that are already doing really well. And how do you get them going from good to great?
That's who I love to serve. That is what I believe is one of our like unique differentiators. And I also believe if that's all I marketed to, we could always have a drop down sales process below the line to our level.
Easy.
Yeah, but I'm not it doesn't become my brand. It doesn't become my market. Whereas right now, I'm only marketing that basically to pay the bills. And then I trust in my ability to retain those students over the next 1 to 3 years. And then they'll buy our LTV program or our 7-figure CEO program a year or two from now. But nobody even knows we have those offers half the time.
Exactly.
To come to us right off the streets. Yeah.
All of the messaging in here, and here, 100% of the messaging here would be to the higher end people, right? The messaging in here, I would say 80% of the time is to the higher end people, and you have some messaging that might trigger the people on the lower end.
Sure.
All of the good stuff happens here. Is you qualify them to see where they're at. And if they don't qualify, great. Sell them into that lower end program, and you're still making money, and you can still use paid traffic to do this, and you will massively increase your ROAS. But then obviously the qualifiers go in and you sell them the good stuff and go from there.
You mentioned earlier that you felt like I needed a second mechanism past my social media, basically my Facebook, Instagram, my organic social media, Facebook group, Facebook, and Instagram. From what you're hearing, what were you thinking was that second mechanism? Like paid ads, a masterclass?
I would take it one step between and go, I would still use your Facebook and Instagram and say they're the main platforms.
Yeah, I wouldn't abandon them.
What I would add on, so it's not a either or, it's like a and even. Do you know what I mean? And it's a case of, rather than driving them to the Facebook group as that main thing, use a different mechanism for whatever they need to consume to have the epiphany to get them to apply for a call. So,
and are you suggesting other? Go.
Yeah. So no, I was just going to say, so all roads lead to apply to a call, right? So so Instagram, Facebook, DM, video, like interview, whatever it is, they're all going there, right? And sorry, going back just slightly side tangent. I would also have 2 to 3 different names for a call for different things as well, simply so you don't get offer fatigue as well. Just like what I said before, if you keep saying book a strategy, it's not going to work. So I would have something like book a 6-figure demo call. It's a demonstration call. Like, we can get into that.
Yeah. I get what you mean though.
The mechanism, the vibe I get with you kind of from this conversation so far, I would probably use a monthly event funnel where it's every month, run a live event, 1 hour, 2 hour, maximum 3, but like keep it short. It doesn't need to be
paid or free.
I would start with free, and then I would eventually go paid, and I would go paid with like an ascension into it. So it'd be like free with a paid upsell.
And when you say event, like a 2-hour paid masterclass, a 3-day challenge or things like that.
Yeah, every month, choose a different topic. This month, we're teaching you how to increase your Instagram followers and turn them into clients. Next month, I'm showing you how to get clients through Facebook ads. Month after that, I want to show you how to use a Google Doc and a script to be able to sell people into your programs. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, keep going on from there. So, what I would actually do is, because you said did you say every 6 weeks, every 4 weeks, you've got a client delivery program?
Every 6 weeks or so, we do a client conversion campaign, and every 6 weeks or so, we have a monthly student event that we invite guests to.
Okay. I would play around with it. I'm not going to answer it right now, but I would say
Cool.
every frequency, every 4 to 6 weeks, I would have a monthly event just for conversions. At the moment, I wouldn't mix delivery and conversions together. I would
Okay.
just do
Yep.
a
Yep.
conversion event through that and have that separate from the Facebook group.
And I'm not sure how much time you have left, but um, I'd love to unpack two things.
Go for it. Hit
Uh,
me.
what you're like, I see you market about you partner with businesses. I'd
Yep.
love to hear more about that. And then at some point, depending on how that sounds, because the monthly event would be more of a conversion event. I'd love to still at some point unpack what we would do to grow audience or lead generation on the front end. Because to me, the monthly event feels like the blue boxes, but I'm
Yep.
still unclear on what to do with the
Yep.
gray boxes.
Um, if it were me, the first gray box I would do would be ads. Uh, I would want to go through your content in
Okay.
pretty detail to give you some specific, and I'm more than happy to do that. So just leave that with me and I'll come back to you and be like, hey, this is what I would do organic wise. But I would add the paid leverage. And I'm only saying that because I know what works exactly in this market. So I would pretty much have it
Yeah.
built already. It's probably sitting in my Google Drive right now, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So that would be super simple. So I would say gray box, first step ads,
Blue box
first step
conversion
blue
event.
box monthly conversion event, correct? And I think we've probably ticked a lot of the boxes with what needs to happen from there.
Yeah.
Second blue box outbound. So I would definitely do that. Like, again, I've probably got 95% of that in my Google Drive sitting right now with like the SOPs and scripts and stuff like that,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
for that. So that's a piece of cake. Does that answer that second question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And my head of sales was at a 10-year door-to-door sales career. So he's ready to put an outbound sales team kind
Amazing.
of in place. Second thing to answer what you brought up earlier, you're surprised I didn't say $1 million a month. That is still in my radar, and it's actually a goal I write down daily.
Love that.
And I'm talking about 3 to 500K more as an incremental step there because I would say my confidence really got, I don't even know if my confidence got rocked. The
I
lawsuit and
get that.
everything like that just caused me to operate with constraint, it felt like. So
I
I'm
get
just
that.
trying to create little wins for my business instead of talking to my leaders about 1 million and then
Yeah.
only ending up at 350 and then feeling like we fell really short.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. With the conversations that we've had, I think that's why I wanted to say it, because I say it to say, no, you can do this. Like,
Yeah,
don't
I
like
appreciate that.
just see if I could at least show you the belief that can be untrue to you, so you can see it and go, yeah, okay, I see that that's there. I can put that away. Do you know what I mean? And then I can move through it.
Yeah,
Hopefully, I've done some help to be able to get through that sort of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you 100% can get there, dude. Like, with so many of the people in this marketplace that I talk to, I it is it is your duty to make it happen.
it's literally the reason I got into coaching coaches. For the first 5 years as a coach, I told myself I would never fucking coach coaches. And then I was seeing what was going on under this, under the behind the kimono, under the hood, all that type of stuff. And
Yeah.
I literally met with Mark Lack and Peter Voogd, who were mentoring me at the time. And I said, I feel at this point I'm doing the industry a disservice by not teaching them some of the things that I know and how the business runs. And that's kind of how I ended up here. You used the word snowflake earlier, but Brad Newman at one point said to me, he said, you're like of the online coaching space, but you're not one of the online
Yeah.
coaching space. Like you're a part of
Yeah.
us, but it's like almost like you're not one of us at the same time. That really resonated when he said it. It felt true.
That's
So-
good. That's really good.
If you've enjoyed this episode and it's vibed with you, then make sure that you hit subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. And importantly, if there is any guests that you want me to have on the show or specific questions or topics that you want me to be able to cover for you, simply put it into the YouTube comments or send me an Instagram DM. That way I can make sure you're getting the most out of actually being here.